Hello and welcome back to Uniting Wizards, where today we are talking about how you can reserve your username for Wizards Unite by using your Pokémon GO or Ingress account. I know this isn't exactly news at this point. This happened Tuesday, April 9th, but I haven't had the time to address this yet because it's been kind of a crazy week for me. But there are some very interesting things that I want to address about this. So first of all, if you've missed it, follow the link in the description where you can reserve your name for Wizards Unite if you have a Pokémon GO or an Ingress account. So the thing you actually do is reserve the name, the username you have in Pokémon GO or in Ingress to be able to use that when Wizards Unite is released. And first I want to address what you can do if it doesn't work, if you follow the link in the description and you can't reserve the name you want to. First of all, it didn't work for me the first time I tried to do it because of the browser I used. I used DuckDuckGo on my phone and that just wouldn't let me do anything basically. So try another browser if the link just doesn't really work for you at all. If the link works, there are still a couple of reasons for why you might not be able to register your name. First of all, it might be that someone else is using it already. If you have that name in Pokémon GO, but someone else has it in Ingress, for example, they might have been first to reserve that name. If so, I'm very sorry, you can't do anything about that, really. It might also be that your name is not allowed. Now, surprisingly, many names have actually been allowed, even if they've been using, like, spell names or names from the series. I don't know if anyone has tried, like, Harry Potter, but I know that some other names that exist in the series, or at least parts of names, Gita Lovegood could use Lovegood, for example, and that worked. So we don't really know which names will work and which will not. If they won't let you reserve your name because it's not allowed, let Wizards Unite Hub know because they're compiling a list and it'll be interesting to see which names are not allowed and which ones are. Now, what to do if you don't like the name you have in Pokémon GO or Ingress, if that's not the name you want to use for Wizards Unite? First of all, at least in Pokémon GO, you can change your name. I did that. I changed my name in Pokémon GO because I wanted something different in Wizards Unite, and I'd been thinking I wanted to change my name in Pokémon GO anyway, so this was just a reason to finally do it. If you don't want to change your name, you have a chance if you only play one of Niantic's previous games. Say you only play Pokémon GO, but you want a different name from Pokémon GO but don't want to change that. You can start an Ingress account and hope that no one has taken that name in Ingress. Or vice versa. And of course, if you don't have an Ingress account nor a Pokémon GO account, you can start one up, take a name and reserve it in Wizards Unite. Now, if it doesn't work, if you can't or won't change your name, I encourage you to reserve your name anyway, even if you don't want to use it. And the reason for this is that there might be a chance that if you register your name, you have a slightly higher chance of getting into the beta of Wizards Unite. And I think apart from having the name you want in the game, this is the biggest benefit to actually reserving your name. Because it shows Niantic that you are interested in the games, it shows them that you have played the previous games, and especially if you have a fairly high level in Ingress or Pokémon GO, I think it increases your chances because it shows them that you are already interested in their games and you are likely to play because they can see that you've played before. I also want to point out that if you're an Android user and you have pre-registered for the game on Google Play, make sure that you also have the same email address on the account that you want to reserve your name from, because I think that helps too. And now, of course, the question is, what happens next? Because you can only reserve your name up until April 30th, so something happens after that. Maybe not right after that, but fairly soon, I think, after that, something is going to happen. And the theory that I've seen the most, and the theory that I subscribe to, is a beta is probably on the horizon. So we might see a beta in May, and if you have pre-registered and if you have reserved your name, you probably have a slightly higher chance of being invited in the beta. But there's one more thing I want to discuss, and that is the fact that after you have reserved your name, that reservation is valid for 6 months after the game's release. For 6 months after the game's release, you will be the only one who is able to use that name. If you haven't used it within 6 months of the game's release, someone else can swoop in and take it. And I just want to address that because we don't know yet if the game is going to be released everywhere at once. It'll probably not be available everywhere because there are certain places where Pokémon GO, for example, isn't available still and probably never will be. But we don't know if these 6 months is 6 months after it's released in your region or 6 months after the first release, wherever the first release happens, or if it means that it won't come in waves. Now, Pokémon GO did come in waves. It became available in certain places before certain other places. We had to wait for a couple of weeks here in Sweden, for example. But I don't know, this makes me hopeful that Wizards Unite will actually be released in many places all at once. There's of course a risk with doing that because it means that a lot of people will be playing at once, and we know from Pokemon GO that Niantic servers couldn't really handle that many people playing it all at once, and that was when it was released in one place first, and then another, and then another. But still, maybe they've learned from that mistake. Anyway, I just wanted to address that. I don't really know what it means, but it means something, and that's interesting. Anyway, I am going to talk more about the release date in a future video. We don't yet know the release date, and we have very little confirmation about anything there, but there is a lot to figure out, and there is a lot of hints that we can use to figure out when the release date might be. So I am going to talk about that in an upcoming video, but for now, leave a comment, like this video, subscribe, you know the drill by now, and I will see you next time. Bye!